Dad, I want to see Sheri and John. Ace of SEIS and Fape Guy, please, please.
This is SELPA Susie coming at you live from our Rohnert Park offices here at the SELPA. And today we have the dynamic duo of our Ace of SEIS, Sheri Roberge, and our one and only Fape Guy, John Fischer, with another little snippet on affirming IEPs.
Thanks, Susie. Today we're going to give you the down low on meeting types, purposes, and when to affirm. Hint, it's a prime number between 6 and 8. We get these questions all the time.
I know, right? So John, can you start by letting us know what the different IEP meeting types are?
Sure. An IEP is the basic document in SEIS. While legally there can be many types of IEPs, in SEIS there are only 3 allowable types: initial IEPs, plan review IEPs, and eligibility evaluations. Any other types of IEP meetings are either a part of one of these meetings or done through the amendment process, which we'll cover in more detail later.
In this snippet, we'll be discussing affirming plan reviews and eligibility evaluation IEP meetings. We'll cover initials in another SELPA snippet because they can be much more involved. So John, why is it so important to affirm?
From the legal perspective, it is necessary to document and be transparent about each step of the IEP process. Affirming locks in what happened at that meeting on a given day. Sheri, what about from the reporting side?
There are specific fields on the IEP that are reported to the California Department of Education, which we call CDE. You'll notice when you're working on a future IEP form that there are some fields that are in red. These are the fields that are reported. When you affirm the IEP, that creates the transaction that we then report to the state. It gets uploaded from SEIS to CalPADS.
What are you talking about? Transactions?
I know. But everybody needs to understand that CDE is monitoring your timeline compliance. And when meetings aren't affirmed, there's no transaction to report. And if you can't report a transaction, then the state may think that you're not meeting your timeline.
Like taking a test, getting the answers right, and you forgot to turn the test in.
Exactly. There's nothing to report. So these students could potentially end up on your district's CDE accountability monitoring report. Nobody wants that. This sounds like a good time to talk about the purposes of each meeting type.
An initial IEP is held for a student who has been referred for special education evaluation and does not currently have an IEP. That is different from assessing for a new service. That is all we're going to talk about for initial IEPs here. The rest will be covered in a separate snippet. Sheri, what should we call that snippet?
Initials.
The purpose of a plan review is to review the student's progress, write goals, and determine services and placement.
Basically, making an offer of FAPE.
Yep, these meetings must be held at least annually and have to be affirmed within 7 calendar days, regardless of whether you have a parent signature. If you hold an IEP meeting between annual plan reviews, or you need to continue an IEP meeting, this should be handled through the amendment process.
Why is it so important to affirm?
In completing the affirm process, you are simply attesting to what happened at that meeting and what the district prescribed offered as a program for the student. This is an important concept to understand because CDE is interested in what the district is offering, not whether the IEP was actually implemented. So parent consent is not required for affirming. That said, you need to get that parent signature for legal reasons.
CDE is checking that your prescription, which is your offer of FAPE, was made on time. Parent consent is not reported.
In addition, when you affirm the plan review IEP and document any additional meetings or changes, you are being completely transparent in that you are locking in and documenting each step.
Basically, every time the IEP team meets, if FAPE is changed, a new prescription has been made. The new prescription has to be reported to CDE. Affirming creates that transaction.
Wait, I forgot. How many days?
7, 7, 7.
I would go for the 7. Yeah, I'd go for
Bingo, man, bingo.
7.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
The sole purpose of an eligibility evaluation is to determine continued eligibility for special education services. If you make any changes to the offer of FAPE, you must also call it a plan review meeting. This meeting must be affirmed within 7 calendar days.
Since an eligibility evaluation is to discuss continued eligibility, and a plan review IEP is to make a new offer of FAPE, when both are due, they should be combined and held by the first due date. When you're unable to do this, it can get a little complicated.
Sheri, can you talk a little bit more about what happens in SEIS when you affirm an IEP?
Did you see the SEIS 101 video? If you have, then you'll remember we call this the SEIS Shuffle.
After the meeting, you lock in that IEP through the affirm and attest process, and it becomes the current IEP. The prior current IEP at this point becomes an historical IEP.
So, what did we learn today?
7.
Back to you, Susie.
Thanks, Ace and Fape Guy. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find more SELPA videos and get more tips and tricks.